Hey there, fellow sports gamblers. It's Steel Picks for you with the 5 best MLB prize picks and underdog free picks for today, May 14th. Before we get into today's picks, let's see what happened to us yesterday. The Tobias Harris experiment did not work in our favor, as Tobias Harris was 6 for 19 from the field for 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists to go under the 20.5 points and assists we said he'd go over, and under the 18.5 points we said he'd go over. Cavis LeVert scored 7 points and dished out 1 assist to go under the 9.5 points and rebounds we said he'd go under. Max Strus had 8 rebounds and 1 assist to go over the 5.5 rebounds and assists we said he'd go over. But Donovan Mitchell was 7 for 18 from the field to go under the 8.5 field goals we said he'd go over. The Captain Obvious cap didn't work for us, didn't work in our favor, and 2 out of 5 is not good. But I feel an immaculate ticket coming on today on the diamond. Let's see if we can't make it happen. First up, we have Starling Marte over a half a hit versus the Chicago White Sox. Now, as you can see in his last 10 games, Starling Marte has been able to get at least 1 hit, a nice 10-game hitting streak going for him, with the high water mark of 3 hits against the Oakland A's a few days ago. So certainly think that he's capable of doing that against a White Sox team that has not been that great this year. And they are going to be on the road, going to have the wind blowing out in Chicago. So certainly think there's an opportunity to make that happen. As you can see with regards to his plate appearances, been pretty consistently getting at least 4 plate appearances, only 3 times in the last 10 games. Has he not been able to get to the plate 4 times? So he would only have to be hitting about 250 to do so. So certainly think that Starling Marte will have an opportunity to get a hit against the Chicago White Sox. And next up, we have his teammate, Bobby Witt Jr., over 1.5 bases against those same White Sox. As you can see, Bobby's been able to do this in 8 of his last 10 games, only getting the 1 game at Seattle where he only had 1 base, and a game against Chicago where he had no bases. But certainly been able to do so against the White Sox. As you can see in the last 2 games against Chicago, he's had 5 bases and 4. So 1.5 total bases. Certainly think that he will continue his hot hitting ways. As you can see with regards to plate appearances in the last 2 games against the White Sox, he has had 5 plate appearances and overall averaging about 4.5. So definitely enough opportunities to do so. With regards to hits, not necessarily the same hitting streak that his teammate Starling Marte had, but has certainly been getting production. As you can see, 4 hits being the high water mark in the last 10 games. And against the White Sox, he had 2 hits and 1 hit. So certainly think he's capable of doing that. So again, we have Bobby Witt Jr. over 1.5 bases. Looks good for us. Next up, we have Jake Bauers over a half of a base against the San Diego Padres. As you can see, he's been able to do this in 8 of his last 10 games. The only anomaly being first 2 games in the Washington National Series where he had no bases. But last 2 games against the San Diego Padres, he's had 3 bases in Game 1, 2 bases in Game 2. The high water mark for the last 10 games being against the New York Yankees, where he had 4. So certainly think that he's going to be capable of doing that, continuing that streak. And with regards to the plate appearances, you can see that he's consistently, for the last 5 out of the last 6 games, he's had 4 plate appearances and 4 plate appearances in the last 2 against the San Diego Padres. So certainly think that he will continue that trend going forward. So certainly like Jake Bauers over the half of a base. And as a friendly reminder, when you sign up with BETR using my promo code WINCASH, you receive 2 anytime tokens worth up to $100 each. And when you sign up for Novig and spend $5 using my STEELEWINS promo code, you'll get a $50 bonus, which is definitely some extra cash that you can use to make prop picks and see what you can make happen. Good luck out there, everyone. Next up, we have Ryan Jeffers over 1.5 runs, hits, and RBIs against the Miami Marlins. Now, again, as with our other players for today, but what Jeffers has been able to do this in 8 of his last 10 games, the only anomaly being the 3rd game in the Toronto series and the 2nd game in the Cleveland Indians series. But you can see that against the Miami Marlins, he was able to get a hit, a run, and 2 RBIs to get to 4 runs, hits, and RBIs. So certainly liking that trend. The high water mark for the last 10 games was this game against the Nationals, where he had the 3 hits, the 3 runs, and the RBI. As far as plate appearances go, he's been able to get about 4.5 in the last 10 games, getting consistent 5 against the Nationals and the Indians, and then also 4 again against the Miami Marlins. So certainly think that he'll have enough plate appearances to make this happen. So we like Ryan Jeffers over 1.5 runs, hits, and RBIs. And last but not least, we have Elly De La Cruz over 1.5 bases. As you can see, Ellie's been able to do this in 7 of his last game and 6 games in a row, with a whopping 3 bases, total bases against the Nationals in his last game. First game, he was able to get 2. So certainly understanding the familiar foe, he should be able to get his work in. The high water mark being, of course, the 3 bases that he's been able to accomplish 4 times in the last 10 games. As we all know, Elly Cruz is a speedster, and if he gets an opportunity, he certainly can make things happen. Lightning in a bottle. And with regards to plate appearances, you can see in his last 2 games against the Washington Nationals, he's been able to have 5 appearances, which is an opportunity to make things happen. Something like Elly De La Cruz over 1.5 bases. So to recap, we have Starling Marte over 1/2 a hit, Bobby Witt Jr. over 1.5 bases, Jake Bauers over 1/2 a hit, Ryan Jeffers over 1.5 runs, hits, and RBIs, and Elly De La Cruz over 1.5 bases. That's the 5 picks I have for you today. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the Steel Picks for You channel. And good luck, everyone.